It is much safer to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. You walk into a room already tilted against you. Voices run hot. A stack of urgent requests waits like lit matches. They want you to rush, to clarify, to prove you are nice. You do none of it. You acknowledge once received, will review and reply at 10, and you return to the agenda. No extra sentence, no apology tour, no nervous grin. You keep your breathing slow, your posture quiet, your eyes steady. 10 minutes later, the volume fades. People who arrive to spar begin to self-edit. They sense the temperature you set cool, measured, unsold, and adjust their own. That is not meanness. That is signal control. Coldness is not about cruelty. It is about removing heat so truth can appear without smoke. Warmth without boundaries invites tests because it advertises a discount. The more you perform availability, the more people believe your attention is on sale. They will push to see if your yes can be hurried and your no can be softened. Strategic coldness denies the store window. You answer in small lines that close, not in open paragraphs that can be mined. You prefer records to reassurance, standards to comfort, cadence to chaos. The result is predictable. Those who came to perform learn quickly that performances do not move the clock. Detachment is deterrence. Minimal reaction raises the price of manipulation by starving it of reward. The gossiper needs your outrage. You offer a receipt and a scheduled check. The grandstander needs your stage. You shrink the room with a timed agenda and written decisions. The chronic urgent needs your panic. You route the request through the policy that bills for speed. You are not cruel. You are expensive. And expensive targets attract fewer casual attacks. Distance makes bad incentives unprofitable. Consider 3 quick frames. A teammate forgets to copy you on a critical thread. You do not scold. You move the decision to a form that rejects incomplete inputs and logs delays automatically. The forgetting stops because it pays nothing. A client calls late at night to renegotiate terms as friends. You reply at business hours with the clause they signed and 2 options. Friendship is a story. Invoices are structure. Arrival plants a vague rumor. You do not explain your soul to the internet. You document, escalate once, and remove access in one clean step. Tension evaporates where enforcement lives. Coldness filters signal from noise. Warm replies, long explanations, and, just so you know, messages leak. Telemetry, your pulse, your fear, your need to be seen as kind. A colder surface returns nothing usable. It buys time. It buys clarity. It buys angles that talk would have sold for cheap. People say, "You're distant." They are correct. You are distant from bait. You remain close to reality. Here is the thesis you carry into every room. Hold nerves, price access, enforce once. Hold nerves. Your face, your pace, your volume are instruments. Play them soft. Count a full breath before you answer in person. Take 3 hours before substance in writing. Take 24 to 48 hours for formal decisions. The clock is part of the message. Price access, late-night calls, weekend work, and last-minute pivots convert to published fees or slower timelines. When access costs, urgency becomes rare and honest. Enforce once. No speech, no spectacle, no second warning. One small, precise consequence applied early teaches the room faster than a month of earnest talk. Coldness does not mean you never smile or forgive. It means warmth comes after order, not instead of it. When people see that kindness does not lower standards, they relax. When they learn that drama cannot purchase your attention, they stop producing it. Rooms run cooler. Work gets cleaner. Your word grows heavier because it is no longer padded with explanations you don't keep. The surprise is that strategic, Coldness produces a softer life. Fewer fights, fewer favors, fewer apologies for promises you never should have made. You do not freeze the world, you set its temperature. Calm is the thermostat. Consequence is the furnace. If you must choose between being liked and being legible, choose legible. Respect will follow the path your standards cleared. Hold nerves, price access, enforce once. Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are. You were told that radical openness, permanent availability, and family culture create safety. They do not. They create handles places for other hands to grip you and set your pace. The more you expose your insides, the easier it becomes to pull you off center. The more you rush to answer, the cheaper your judgment becomes. The more you trade rules for affection, the more contempt you invite from those who notice that your love is easier to obtain than your enforcement. If you want safety, don't offer handles. Remove them. Begin with the openness trap. There is a difference between legitimate clarity and leakage. Clarity is invariant. Standards, acceptance tests, escalation paths, who decides and when. Leakage is live anxiety. Timelines you can still miss. Stakeholders you are still persuading. Dependencies you cannot afford to break. When you publish roadmaps in daily detail, you hand adversaries your stress map. They do not need to be brilliant. They only need to pre-announce a thinner copy, file a well-timed ticket, or nudge the one dependency you can't defend publicly. Your transparent thread becomes their calendar. Treat disclosure as an instrument, not a virtue. Share frameworks that survive storms. Conceal clocks that invite storms. Ship first, then explain. Move hard debates off the plaza and into short rooms with owners, minutes, and a deadline. Post the decision and the reasoning when the ink is dry. Publish the invariant definitions that govern future work, not the fragile moods that can be weaponized now. This is not secrecy, it is sequencing. A fortress with windows is still a fortress. A fortress with missing walls is a courtyard. Audit your own habits. Do you write public diaries to look honest? Do you open your calendar to be accessible? Do you fill Slack with live negotiation so people feel included? Each gesture feels human and costs position. Open calendars tell the hostile exactly when to swarm. Live negotiation teaches them which phrases stall you. Diaries gift them your thresholds. Who rattles you, what you dread, and when your resolve thins. Close the handles. Keep the rules lit. Keep the arteries covered. Now, availability as surrender. Speed is a price tag. The faster you answer, the less you charge. Urgency is often theater designed to compress your choices and sell your position wholesale. Now or never. EOD or it dies. Quick call at 4:58. Real deadlines tie to physics, regulatory windows, inventory, flights, filings. The rest is tone and lighting. When you sprint on command, you trade diligence, documentation, and alternatives for the sugar high of seeming helpful. You convert attention into a leash. Replace reflex with cadence. Batch replies. Guard maker hours like budget. Require evidence for emergencies and dates for business. Move decisions from chat to artifacts. A one-pager, a change order, a meeting on the calendar with the decider present. If they press for speed, trade it for something you can verify later. Reduced scope, added resources, written ownership of risk. If the clock evaporates when you ask for signatures, you have exposed theater without raising your voice. If the clock survives, you still protected your position by pricing acceleration. Make the room learn your rhythm. I don't decide, live in chat. Put it in the dock by 6. We decide at 10. Non-emergency pings roll to the next window. Rushes beyond the quota require scope, change. The first week, they call you cold. The second, they copy your process. By the third, only real work survives your tempo. A sovereign pace is not cruelty, it is protection for accuracy and dignity. People come to trust your time because it is not for sale to panic. Then, Harmony Theatre. We're family. Language feels safe because it replaces rules with sentiment. In practice, it suppresses honest no's and rewards theatrics. The person who cries loudest gets an exception. The person who says, "I'll be the bad guy," gets ulcers. The standard dissolves into mood. You are urged to be supportive instead of exact, to keep the vibe instead of keep the line. The bill arrives as hours you cannot bill, exits you do not take, reputational debt you carry for other people's messes. Affection without enforcement breeds contempt, not loyalty. Reposition comfort as a product of order. Write the one-page rule: hours, handoffs, channels, and costs for skipping them. Enforce the smallest necessary consequence, early and evenly. Reassignment, scope cut, bonus tax, or removal. If you grant grace, name the grace and the end of it. 2 weeks reduced scope. Review on the 15th. Protect dignity while protecting the standard. People can dislike a decision and still respect a system that does not change with volume. They may challenge you once. They will not test you endlessly when tests carry a price. Bring this to ground. Launch week, old you streams the build, answers every comment, and posts live diaries for community. Outcome, rivals pre-announce. Internal cynics time their shots. Your team chases optics instead of rollback drills. New you publishes acceptance tests publicly, runs a quiet pilot, ships, then posts a dated changelog and a clean post-mortem. You gave clarity without gifting your steering wheel. Compensation review. Old, you replies instantly to an EOD email, apologizes for asking market rate, and sends numbers without the decider. New you answers in your window, attaches artifacts, benchmarks, scope, measurable impact, and requests the meeting with the owner on calendar. If speed is demanded, you trade it for signatures. Your price stops moving with their tone. Personal life mirrors the office. Old you shares every fear to stay close, picks up midnight calls for non-emergencies, and lets "we're family" excuse late rent and late respect. New you shares from integration, not impulse, sets quiet hours, ties favors to accountability. Love stays because leaks stop. You become harder to handle and easier to trust, which is the paradox manipulators hate and good people need. Remove the handles, publish frameworks, not arteries. Respond on schedule, not on demand. Place kindness after order, not instead of it. The appearance of goodness can be purchased with openness and speed. The reality of safety is built from control of timing, access, and consequence. Let other people tug at curtains. You will reinforce the door. Keep rules visible, keep clocks invisible, and let fair consequences do the talking. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few really know what you are. You run hot, and heat writes your script. Approval addiction, humiliation sensitivity, and scarcity, panic are not moods. They are handles fitted to your spine. Opponents do not need to outthink you when they can simply turn the knobs. The moment your need raises the temperature, your tells switch on like runway lights. You speak first. You spend first. You concede before anyone asks. If you would rule your day, learn to cool the room from the inside out. Begin with a trigger inventory that is forensic, not poetic. Fast defenses are the first leak. A minor challenge lands. Are we sure this plan is solid? And your mouth sprints to protect image. You stack clauses, rush through history, and argue with a ghost of judgment that lives in your chest. Long essays are the second. At 1:17 a.m., you publish paragraphs to clarify, donating tomorrow's focus because tonight's quiet felt like danger. Public bargains follow. To prove goodwill, you cut price on camera, offer unpriced extras, or soften enforcement so no one feels bad. Nervous jokes complete the set. You deflect with humor to signal ease, but you only teach the room where to poke. Write the checklist where you decide: fast defense, long essay, public bargain, nervous joke. If one appears, assume a wound has the wheel. Turn that list into ritual. When heat rises, do 3 mechanical acts. Drop your breath to the belly for 2 slow cycles. Lower your voice by half a note. Ask one narrow question before any explanation. Which part is unclear? What changed? What exact outcome do you want? Questions force your counterpart to show terrain. Explanations reveal yours. After the call, write minutes, not manifestos. A ruler who narrates to feel safe becomes a narrator without a realm. Now, need as a handle. The need to be liked hands tempo to others. Praise then ask is the evergreen play. We love your flexibility. Could you turn this around by tonight? They are not admiring you, they are fishing for your clock. The need to look fair invites debate loops. You perform balance while the other side smuggles terms through your politeness. You win sentences and lose structure. The need for certainty sells options for reassurance. You overbuy commitments, rigid scope, bloated insurance, irreversible timelines, because a quick yes steadies your chest. The bill arrives later, in trapped calendars and narrow choices. Replace need with numbers and windows. Decide floors, ceilings, and cadence before you enter any room. Speak them clean. Earliest start is the 15th after deposit. Scope changes price. List changes. We confirm by noon tomorrow. Move approval from mood to metric. Delivery met. Quality met. Response window kept. People who fed on your volatility will call you cold. Let them acclimate to climate. Predictability is expensive to predators and cheap for allies. Study humiliation loops with harsh clarity. The chain is simple. Public, slight, reactive, post screenshots, narrative capture. A rival clips you out of context. A client hints you overcharge. A colleague questions you in a meeting. Pride surges, and you go live. You set the record straight, revealing calendars, margins, contingency paths, and exactly which lever moves you fear of looking small. For 1 hour, relief. For many weeks, you are easier to move. Your performance becomes a manual. Others quietly file under how to steer you. Break the loop by demoting the audience. Your goal is not to win an argument. Your goal is to preserve the campaign. In public, reply with scope, not defense. We'll address deliverables in the working session. In the room, sequence the heat. There are 3 issues. Let's order them. Afterward, move from heat to ink. Record claim. Fact, action, owner, date. If a correction is due, make one small, verifiable move. Then, silence. If no correction is due, decline the theater. Rage earns applause. Records earn leverage. Adopt a cooling protocol, so coldness becomes habit, not mood. First, 1-sentence acknowledgements. Noted. Received. We will review Thursday. These hold the door closed while you think. Second, set response windows and keep them. Your clock is a border. Post them where others can see. We respond 9, 7. Decisions publish at noon. Third, second mind check. No significant reply or penalty without a counterweight legal operations or tomorrow's you. If you lead alone, schedule the decision and let your colder future self sign it. Fourth, written rationale offline. Before any hard move, state the rule, the breach, the cost, and the aim. Writing drags motive into daylight and keeps punishment proportionate to the line you are, protecting time, cash, information, or morale. Translate this into the street. A prospect writes, "Match X today," and it's yours. The old heat rises, you breathe low. Decisions finalize after review tomorrow at noon. Current terms stand. A manager asks on camera, "Can you reassure us now with numbers?" You hold cadence. Numbers publish Friday after reconciliation. A friend texts, "Why so slow?" You answer, "I respond 9-7. If that rhythm doesn't fit, we may not align." You will feel less adored and more effective. That is the trade that builds kingdoms. Name the traps your heat invites. Counterfeit clocks designed to trigger scarcity. Praise, then ask crafted to harvest approval. Weaponize silence that baits you into chasing with discounts and details. Comparison hooks, another team shipped in a week, built to infect you with status panic. Your counters must be mechanical. We don't move under clocks. Happy to discuss once scope is written. One follow-up, then we wait. Quality requires order. Earliest start after deposit is the 15th. Mechanisms beat moods. When the handle appears, let it turn without moving you. Understand the deeper law. The first to move under pressure loses the option to choose. Fast defenses sell time. Long essays sell privacy. Public bargains sell price. Nervous jokes sell the map. Heat makes you readable, and readability makes you steerable. You are not trying to look cold. You are trying to control the calendar where every serious victory is won. You can still be generous, fair, admired, even loved. Do it on schedule, within standards, behind boundaries that do not bend for adrenaline. Inventory your tells until you can hear them as clearly as footsteps in an empty hall. Tie each need to its invoice and refuse to pay in haste. Map the humiliation loop and cut it with delay, scope, and records. Install the cooling protocol until it runs without permission. Then, the temperature in the room will be set by your process, not by their praise, their clocks, or your fear of being misunderstood. Quiet first, then terms. It is much safer to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Your spiral begins the moment you cannot stay cold. A small provocation lands a sly aside in the meeting, a vague post that smells like your name, a quick question meant to itch. You answer on cue. The reply is longer than your office requires, and warmer than your position allows. In that instant, you spend authority to buy relief. Your opponent does not dispute facts, he seizes the frame. The story becomes your breath rate, not your reasons. He sets your clock, and you pay interest on every minute. Tempo loss is a plan you help him write. Minute 0, the jab. Minute 1, your paragraph. Minute 3, for context, you leak details that never belonged in daylight. Minute 5, he answers with one cool sentence and owns the hour. Minute 7, you escalate to screenshots and subtext. Minute 9, he asks a short surgical question that widens the hole. Minute 12, you contradict a clause from minute 1 to plug the leak you made. Minute 15, apology for tone. Minute 18, apology for substance. Minute 20, a promise your team cannot keep. The rhythm is his, the cost is yours. You did not lose on truth. You lost on time. Make pace control non-negotiable. Impose a tariff of time on every reply. Draft on paper where there is no send button. Route heat through one advisor who gains nothing from your noise. If they choose the hour, you choose the format, a single paragraph with nouns and dates. If they choose the format, you choose the hour. Silence is not surrender when it buys position. It is custody of the frame. You are not paid to flail, you are paid to decide. Receipts and reversals arrive next. Haste tries to be everything at once. Strict, kind, transparent, discreet. At noon, you swear by policy. At 2, you plead confidentiality. At 6, you carve an exception, just this once. None is a lie. Together they look like design. Screenshots turn into coins. Timestamps betray you. A sentence softened at 1-3 lives forever in 10 private chats by 1-4. Later facts do not erase early theatre. They sit beside it and make you look split. Your enemy does not need to forge evidence. He needs only to stack your edits in sequence. The archive becomes your prosecutor. The timeline becomes your cross-examination. Price the volatility so you respect it. A frantic thread can shave points from evaluation because buyers price distress. A public reversal adds oversight gates because sponsors insure against your heat. A promise spat out under pressure becomes a bargaining anchor. You admitted X, therefore you owe Y. Each edit that soothes today will be read aloud tomorrow. Relief is sugar, position is bread. Do not trade your meals for candy. Structure is armor. Answer the charged claim, not its orbit. Swap mist for nouns, heat for dates, posture for records. Do the review in private. Present one clean page when ready. If you are wrong, name the act and the repair once. If you are right, let the clock carry your case. Speak as if an enemy will read your sentence to a jury because he will. Brevity, properly armed, is force. Now, coalition erosion. Allies are not a chorus. They are lenders of time and credibility. High-maintenance leaders burn calendars. The senior engineer who must triage your outbursts at midnight will soon anchor a roadmap elsewhere. The board member who must defend your reversals will hedge until neutral looks like wisdom. Neutrality, left alone, drifts to your rival because your rival wastes less time. People do not leave because they hate you. They leave because your weather ruins their season. Reverse the drift with cadence. Promise your inner circle, I will speak once, clearly, after verification. Keep it. Send brief, factual updates before any public move so no ally is blindsided by your impulse. Reward the reliable in daylight. Correct the volatile in private. Document both. Predictability is kindness in a coalition because it lets serious people plan. When your tempo is known, patient partners stand closer, opportunists lose angles, and spectators grow bored. You do not need applause. You need a schedule others can trust. Make the lesson plain with modern scenes. A competitor launches a feature aimed at your crown. You want to clap back. You do not. You ship a counter and announce once with dates and numbers. A manager courts the crowd by mocking policy in the group channel. You skip the sermon, issue a written correction Wednesday at noon, enforce Friday at 5, and close the loop. A client drags a discount fight into the feed. You route it to the contract and reply once with terms. A former partner posts a personal story. You give one line to the only person owed an answer and shut the door. Without early, quiet enforcement, weakness seeks spectacle. Enter the late crackdown. Having refused 2 precise corrections in week 2, you lurch in week 20 to public, maximal force mass emails at midnight, emergency town halls, blanket bans, firings staged for optics. Legitimacy burns. The diligent feel punished. The shameless perform compliance. The bill arrives in lawsuits, attrition, and months you will not get back. You could have bought peace with one clean cut. Now you rent order with noise. Use the prince's rule. Compress necessary harms. Distribute benefits. Modern translation. Resolve conflict in one decisive act. Spread recognition in regular quiet doses. The reprimand executed on the day promised details better than any speech in heat. The cancelled contract with a one-line notice teaches faster than a week of public scolding. Compassion inside structure strengthens order. Compassion outside structure is cruelty to the reliable. You earn the right to be gentle by proving you can. Be definite. Plan while the sea is calm. Build the ladder before the rain. Rule visible. Private warning quoting the rule and the clock. Measured consequence on schedule. Restoration path clear to all. Cold process. Warm tone. No sarcasm, no spectacle. Prepare 3 moves you hope never to use: containment, consequence, restoration, and rehearse them in quiet. The public should see 1 page at the right hour. The machine beneath it should have weeks of practice. Statecraft is not improvised, it is revealed. Return to pace. Provocation is bait for time. Your opponent does not require your error. He requires your rush. He wants statements you must edit. Edits you must explain. Explanations you must pledge. Pledges he can price. Refuse the chain. If the matter is real, it will still be real in an hour. Use that hour to gather records, harden language, line up allies, and choose the single move that widens options. When you govern the clock, you govern the frame. When you govern the frame, the room steadies itself. Stay cold so you can stay just. The point is not to be cruel, it is to be credible. In courts and companies, people follow the leader who keeps the hour and pays the bill once. Let others gamble on heat. You will compound on calm. Where rivals chase applause, you secure position. Where onlookers test for sport, you make cost visible and rare. That is how a prince survives a market full of eyes. Own the clock, cut once, and build in quiet. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Drop the fantasy of winning hearts with charm. Rooms do not stabilize because you glow. They stabilize because your standards are visible and your consequences are credible. Calm is not softness. Calm is the table where terms are written, clocks are set, and exits are clear. When the price of crossing you is predictable, people plan around you instead of testing you. Peace follows the paper, not the performance. Respect before warmth. You can be liked and ignored. You cannot be respected and ignored. Respect begins when people can forecast you. So, you remove your mood from the price. 1 tone on Monday and Friday, the same answer at noon and at midnight. If a meeting starts 10 minutes late, it still ends on the hour. If someone misses your window, the reply moves to the next cycle. Volatility invites negotiation. Reliability ends it before it begins. At work, the fun manager buys pizza and then begs for weekend miracles because scope leaked all week. The team smiles at him and hedges around him. Replace the show with structure. Publish priorities by noon Monday, midweek check at 5, Friday wrap with next steps. Miss an upstream handoff twice and scope shrinks automatically. Next sprint, no scolding, no speeches, just sequence. In dating, flirtation opens a door. Reliability keeps it unlocked. If you say, no late night arguments, you keep that line when you are provoked. Predictability crowns trust, because people can plan with you, not around you. Respect is not loud. It is the quiet knowledge that your yes costs the same on good days and bad. It is the calendar that does not bend for pressure. It is the silence at 11:47 p.m. because your rule says morning. That silence is not hostility, it is legibility. Over time, the right people tune to your rhythm, and the wrong people drift away without a fight. That is peace purchased at wholesale, not retail. Terms over stories. Stories feel noble, we understand each other, we're aligned, our hearts match, but they dissolve at the first storm. Translate intent into scope, cadence, decision rights, and consequence. Scope defines what is inside the fence and what is not. Cadence sets when updates land and when renegotiation opens. Decision rights tell the room who calls what, so debates end early. Consequence states what changes when a promise slides. These are plain words. That is why they work. Examples. Work. 3 deliverables by the 10th. Updates Tuesday and Friday. Product owns scope. Finance owns budget. Legal owns risk. If a deliverable slips, we cut scope, not sleep. Collaboration. 2 posts per week. Shared dashboard. First of month renegotiation. If either misses twice in a month, we pause or rebalance shares. Family. I visit first Sundays. If I'm booked, I move to next month. Guilt does not alter the calendar. Intimacy. We discuss conflict in calm hours. Shouting ends the talk for the day. Cancellations inside 6 hours cost the next slot. Terms convert feeling into a map either side can follow when tempers are high. Publish decision rights to kill moral theatre. If product calls scope and you own timing, arguments shrink to facts. If you own your sleep, late messages route to morning. If you own your budget, generosity has a number, not a fog. Loyalty becomes measurable when responsibility is named and schedules are public. People call systems cold. Systems are what let warmth survive heat. Renegotiate only with new facts. New market, new role, newborn facts. Busy, crazy week, you know how it is weather. If you let weather rewrite the law, you teach the room to pay you with storms. Keep the line you drew in calm. Move it only when reality moves, not when excuses speak. Over time, even critics call that fairness. Signals, not pleas. Please rent trust for a day. Signals buy it for the long term. Reduce promises to near zero and make your value observable. Set response windows you can keep, and then keep them. If you run on 24 hours, reply within 24. If you need 48, claim it and meet it. Document decisions: who decided on what scope, by which date. Maintain delivery cadence when you are tired. A rule that fails on bad days is decoration. A rule that holds on bad days is governance. Price others by their signals, not their speeches. After a miss, do they repair unprompted with a plan and a make good, or do they perform apology theater and request faith? When you say 7 sharp, do they arrive at 7 or at 7:12 with 3 texts? When you decline with respect, do they escalate or adjust? People reveal respect in how they treat your limits when no audience is watching. Set access by pattern, not by praise. Mercy after order. Generosity has weight only after rules hold. Before that, it reads as weakness. Sequence matters. Line first, leniency second. When someone breaks the rule, the consequence lands cleanly. Scope cut, slot released, access paused. Only then, if it serves the larger piece, you add mercy. A one-time exception documented, a smaller penalty for self-reporting, a path to re-earn priority. Mercy that overwrites law breeds cynicism. Mercy that follows law breeds loyalty. Picture the teammate who misses a deadline and arrives with tears. If you grant an invisible extension, you train the room to weaponize crisis. Instead, the task rolls forward. Future scope shrinks until delivery recovers. Later, when calm returns, you offer a tight mercy. Ship a reduced version this week to rebuild cadence. In intimacy, the rule is no public fights. The first breach ends the talk for the day. The next morning you walk and restart. The law remains. The pardon proves you are human without inviting another breach. Here is the reframe. It was never love doing the heavy lift. It was respect built by reliability, terms that outlived moods, and consequences applied like clockwork. Be readable. Translate intent into scope, cadence, decision rights, and consequence. Enforce without noise. Then give kindness that does not weaken the wall. You will be liked later. Perhaps you will be trusted now. Peace belongs to the predictable. Standards first, then mercy. Steal your warmth. Direct it. Don't donate it. Strategic coldness is not cruelty. It's custody over your face, your time, and your future. You will look calm while you remain human. You will decide late while you prepare early. Mask, map, meter, move, and mend. The discipline that lets you lead without bleeding. Mask first, optics discipline. Rooms read your face before they read your facts, so you make your face trustworthy. Neutral jaw, soft eyes, still hands. Train them when the street is quiet, so they hold when the sirens arrive. Cap public replies at 2 sentences unless a number or date demands a third. Use acknowledge, not answer, to stop bait while keeping control. Received. Reviewing. Update 10. Got this verifying. I'll respond tomorrow. You don't litigate in chat. You don't negotiate live. You root decisions into writing. Practice the mask in ordinary noise. A colleague jabs on a call. Did you forget the metric? You hold one breath, answer with the number, and return to the agenda. A client posts, urgent, at 7:31 p.m. You refuse adrenaline the pen. Received reviewing. Written reply by 10 a.m. The mask is a lid. Heat escapes, upward, while judgment stays seated. Map next. The motive grid. Rumor is fog until you score it. For each stakeholder, including you, write 1 sentence in 4 boxes and update weekly from behavior, not claims. Gain. What can they bank? Money, access, headcount, certainty. Fear. What loss haunts them? Blame, exposure, delay, abandonment. Status. What identity must be protected? Expert, savior, rebel, kingmaker. Time. What clock beats quarter close? Product launch, immigration date, newborn on the way. Score 1 to 10. Patterns decide pace. High status demands public respect before private correction. High fear with hot time requires cooling and slowing. If gain dominates, negotiate in unit states. Deliverables, dollars, no adjectives. Make it practical. The helpful peer who wants your deck minutes before the meeting. Gain high, credit, capture. Status high, needs the mic. Time, medium. Your route. Move decisions into the document. Name presenters in the calendar. And invite written edits by a deadline. The vendor who loves twilight crises. Fear and time blazing. Gain angling for rush fees. Your route. Channel to a single thread. Demand receipts and clauses. Hold the response window. Prepare plan B. Meter now. Tempo standards. You set the clock so emotion can't price you. In person. 1 full breath before any substantive reply. Count it. Sip water. Let heat drop. Over text. 3 hours for ordinary matters. Formal issues. 24 to 48 hours. Announce the window so silence isn't mistaken for surrender. Received reviewing. Reply by noon tomorrow. If someone presses, need it now, anchor the frame. I'll respond after verification. Expect my note at 4 p.m. This is not evasive. It is governance. Drill the meter until it's reflex. Each morning, rehearse 1 delay script aloud. Each evening, audit. Where did you break your window and why? If your pride sprinted, write the sentence you should have sent. Consistency beats charisma. People pace to your metronome when you actually keep one. Move, a single clean action. Strategic coldness is not endless chill. It is efficient heat at the right second. Prepare 1 decisive step with documentation. Act once, no victory lap. Define triggers in peacetime. 3 missed deliverables. 1 confirmed breach. A clause crossed. A standard violated twice. Gather proof. Dates, amounts, files, names. Draft a short memo. A stranger can understand. When the trigger hits, execute inside your window. Pause access. Reassign the role. Approve the change order. Enforce the boundary. After, publish 2 to 5 sentences. Behavior, clause, consequence, and, if appropriate, a path back tied to metrics. Then, be quiet. Let the record, not your pride, carry the message. See it work. A supplier calls at 7:30 p.m. Costs doubled. Approve tonight or we slip. Mask. Received. Send itemized changes, receipts, and the clause permitting adjustment. I'll reply by 10 a.m. Map. Their fear and time are high. Give them a cool hallway and a precise list. Meter. Hold the window. Move. Morning comes, either the math holds and you approve with a signed change order, or it doesn't, and you pause the work while the standby supplier you already retained begins. 2 sentences to the team, then silence. Dating carries the same physics. A late night, come now, text appears. Mask, neutral face, 2-sentence cap. Tomorrow 7 works. Map, their status play is high. Time set to now, your gain low. Meter, nights are red by default. Move, if pressure returns, access reduces, then closes with one line. I plan in advance. Take care. You did not become cruel, you became consistent. Mend, the restoration window. Strategic coldness is disciplined detachment, not permanent exile. After firm action, offer a clear path back that costs effort, not pride. Metrics, time, behavior. 2 clean weeks on scope and on time restores deploy rights. 3 punctual meetings and a posted agenda. Reopen your spot on the call. Submit the receipts by Friday and the budget resumes. Mercy becomes policy, not mood. Fear stays low grade. Trust becomes recoverable. People learn that lines are real, consistent. Close the loop with a weekly audit, so the system learns. Mask. Did your face leak? Which word was one too many? Map. Which score changed and why? Meter. Who dragged you into live decisions and how will you deflect next time? Move. Which trigger fired and did the memo read like a scale, clean and repeatable? Mend. Who completed the path back and did you close the warning on time? Track 3 signals: cycle time, error rate, and argument minutes per deliverable. When argument minutes fall and output holds or rises, the culture is maturing. Remember, appearing calm is a public service. Being prepared is a private oath. You will still feel, you will still care, but you will stop renting your face to anyone who rattles a door. You will stop selling your time for the price of your temper. You will stop letting strangers auction your future by shouting, urgent. Strategic coldness lets you keep your tenderness for the moments that deserve it. Family, friends, the honest teammate at 2 a.m. who brings proof instead of panic. The shadow in you will ask for noise, for righteous speeches, for dramatic exits. Decline, put on the mask, update the map, keep the meter, make one move. Leave the door you choose to mend. What looks like ice on your surface is just glass over a deep, warm engine that runs on form. Calm on the surface, law underneath. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. The dividend of stability shows up in cash flow, calendars, and faces. When your signals are clear and your access is scarce, conflict becomes rare and cheap. You publish terms, scope, timeline, decision rights, consequence, and you keep them when the room heats. Emergencies stop buying your attention because your clock does not sell fear. Meetings shrink to what can be decided. Handoffs tighten because maybe is no longer legal tender. Strong talent prefers your room, not for charm, but for predictability. They can plan work instead of negotiating mood. Vendors drop rush fees when you never purchase in a rush. What used to wobble stabilizes, and the profit that hides in quiet procedures starts to appear on paper. Scarce access makes your time valuable without theatrics. You replace ambushes with office hours. You require briefs instead of hallway pitches. Those who prepare move first. Those who perform wait. Envy still exists, but it has a price: evidence, alternatives, and a named owner. You reward early warning with time and tax last-minute drama with cost. The market around you adapts. People stop fishing for weakness and start competing on fit. Your inbox thins. Your pipeline thickens. The room grows steady because the system no longer auctions your judgment. From survival to strategy, you govern nerves, then you govern tempo. You breathe before you speak. You keep a neutral face that neither flatters nor threatens. It saves you from accidental promises. You decide at the speed of intention, not at the speed of alarms. You set response windows fast for fires, deliberate for everything else, and you hold them. A colleague who once arrived with sirens now arrives with 2 options and a date, because the new game pays planners, not arsonists. A client learns to brief on Monday if they want signatures by Thursday. Your timing becomes policy. Others adapt because ignoring your pace is now more expensive than joining it. Strategy is logistics in daylight. You move talk to briefs, briefs to decisions, decisions to signatures. Reversals require new data, not new moods. You separate advice from authority by naming who carries the risk. You choose where you are reachable and for what. Interruptions become petitions for time rather than commands. Dashboards are dull by design. Leading indicators, thresholds, triggers that fire before the smoke does. Under each bright line sits a buffer, a second vendor vetted and quiet. A documented handoff, a week of slack no one brags about, but everyone depends on. These layers look like overkill until the week they save the quarter. Your terms visible, your nerves governed. You set the pace without raising the volume. A competitor shouts, "You do not sprint." You map failure modes, wait 1 cycle, and ship a quiet update that outlasts their headline. A partner wobbles. You restate the rule, offer a single safeguard, and continue without heat. Even rivals behave cleaner at your border because your consequences arrive on time and in proportion. People prefer your order to their own chaos. In that preference, alliances deepen and costs fall. Now the quiet crown, night glass, a long table, too many slides. Heat arrives, an overrun, an accusation, a plea for just this once. You let the first exaggeration hang until it condemns itself. Then 3 sentences: what is approved, what is cut, who is accountable. 1 safeguard added, 1 date moved and made final. You speak for less than a minute. You do not raise your voice. The room lowers theirs. The standard you posted last quarter does most of the talking. Memory supplies the rest of the one time you enforced it precisely, without cruelty and without delay. Arguments end because the plan has already moved beneath the feet of the talk. This is the payoff. Rooms get quieter, decisions get cleaner, and outcomes look inevitable, not because people became angels, but because your system no longer sells your decisions. Fear is rare but real. Respect is routine. Talent stays. Capital gets cheaper. And your nights return to you because sequence replaced adrenaline. You did not chase peace, you administered it. The world, relieved to find a steady metronome, begins to play in tune. Hold your terms, ration your time, and let the standard speak.